Okay, friends, Drew Coover, I'm back, and I'm here today with, what's your lovely name?
Brooke Anderson.
Brooke and
Chris.
Brooke and Chris. Brooke and Chris, this is your fine living room. Look, you got a beautiful lawn, you got a beautiful front yard. Upstairs, right there, we've got some bald eagle action. Isn't that insane?
That's
Like, you
awesome.
got bald eagle right outside your tent.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people pay thousands of dollars for that kind of sleigh.
Yeah. Could be a camera.
It's crazy, right? Like, it's just amazing. It's so beautiful. Like, I can see its head up there.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And what's this place? This is the new, this is the new
Hospital.
St. Paul's Hospital, right?
Yeah, the new St. Paul's.
So, tell me, how did you end up here? How did you end up here? You first.
Well, okay. I used to work in an SRO.
Which company?
No, it was a privately owned SRO. It was the Grand Union Hotel.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're just like a carpenter, like a manager?
I was the manager of the hotel part upstairs.
Wow. So you managed how many people or how many units?
40.
Yeah, 39.
So how do you go from like managing an SRO, helping people in the community, to needing help?
It got bought by a new owner, and the new owner thought my nice one-bedroom suite, admittedly it was pretty nice, would be served better as 3 separate suites. So he fired me and evicted me,
Just like that, bada boom, bada bang.
pretty much, yeah.
And how does that make you feel? You're sitting there, you're helping people out. Were you using at the time?
Yeah.
You're an active addiction.
Yeah.
But you weren't that bad because, of course, if you're managing that building, it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, no, I could work, I could live a normal life, no problem.
So we call that a functioning addict.
Yeah, very much so.
Addict. Have
Yeah.
you been in recovery before?
Yeah, quite a few times.
How about you? What's your story? How did you end up here with this guy? He's taking care of you, huh? You're taking care of him?
I came down here. I first moved to Maple Ridge. I was in recovery out there for 6 months. I have a program out there, and
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so then I came to Balkan House downtown to continue my recovery at a private, it was a program for women. I've been through.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah, human trafficking cases and stuff like that. So they helped me
God
with
bless
that.
you, girl.
So, I had relapses, and so when I relapsed, I ended up on the streets because they didn't give me a chance to. They didn't give me a chance. They just kicked me out without.
Yeah, they screwed it right over.
It's funny, you know, when I first got into sobriety and stuff like that in '96, if you were I went to Maple Ridge Treatment Center, if you drank that day, you get kicked out.
Yeah.
And it was about 10 years after that they changed the rules. You're allowed to relapse and come back that same day. But now I guess if you relapse, you're out.
This was like 10 years ago, though.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, yes, you're out.
You're out. So I found myself nowhere to go, nowhere to stay, and I found my way. It's because it was only a couple blocks from his hotel he was managing, and I ended up finding a room there. And then push came to shove, and we found each other, and then
One thing led to another, and then you got a guy.
Yeah.
You got a mate, you got a soulmate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this work? You're in addiction. You're an active addiction. You don't have an address. You're not alone. You've got someone to care for, and you've got someone to care for, and then they care for you. How does that work on the street? I've never really interviewed couples before that are going through this situation. How does that work?
Well, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard, and it's getting harder the longer we've been on the street. But
Like you live in a like a 80-foot square, you know, like
Yeah.
it's got to be difficult at times.
yeah, we every now and
Every-
sometimes one of us will go off on our own for a day or two, just because we're both the same. We both need our own space every now and then, so we'll take that time and go do it.
And you trust her to bounce for a day and come back? She's going to come
yeah.
back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys care about each other a lot, eh? That's super awesome that you guys have each other, right?
There's a couple like us that have been down here. We're almost again together, almost full 10 years now, almost down here.
You guys have been together for 10 years.
10
That's
years,
right.
yeah.
So, okay, friends. So we're gonna get going here. So, hey, Juke Hoover's back. I'm segueing. I'm gonna start making more videos on political stuff and related to the craziness and the chaos in our streets, and the chaos in our political spectrum, and why our politicians are doing what they're doing. A lot of it doesn't make sense. Here's a great example. A few weeks ago, David Eby announces they're going to save the world by putting 10 beds for mental health and criminal activity into a jail. Wait a second. I think it's called the Colony. We have the Colony Farm. It was created as a result of having too many people in Riverview, and it was really, really bad. So they had to make a new prison specifically for the criminally insane, and they called it the Colony. And we've got it already, but yet he's going to take 10 beds and put them into the Surrey pretrial, where they should be putting criminals that are doing bad crime. And then they're going to also open up more beds in a women's prison for men that are criminally insane. Okay, let's get into it.
And Center for offenders with overlapping mental health and addictions issues. As Katie DeRosa reports, critics say it will only help people in the criminal justice system and leaves many behind.
Premier David Eby has repeatedly cited involuntary care as an answer to random and violent attacks, like the ones we've seen recently making.
Okay, so random attacks. So victim, addict, helpless, just a mess, absolute mess, decides he's going to go into a restaurant and take some wine because he want to get drunk. So he goes to a restaurant, gets him drunk, he gets some wine, he goes across the street, goes into a 7-Eleven. Now he starts swinging shit and he's going to steal some smokes. Now someone tries to support him and help him and listen to him, but the guy freaks out. So 3 cops walk in and pew pew. I want to know which part was random.
Headlines across BC. Now he says the 10.
That is Dr. Bonnie Henry 2.0. That's the big. He is the psychiatrist. Looks like he needs to go to the gym, get some
Mental health beds that have opened Thursday at the Surrey Pretrial Centre are the first step.
It's for a very small cohort of people who are struggling in a very visible, serious, and public way, where their own safety is compromised, as well as the safety of the broader community.
The announcement comes after a Toronto tourist shared her account of being violently attacked by a stranger while she was walking on Vancouver's seawall.
And I just thought, like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Peter Hans Jalo Nungo has been charged with assault
This guy was working in SRO a few months ago.
Bodily harm. He was released on bail with conditions that include receiving forensic psychiatric services. Eby says the attack is disturbing.
I'm very hopeful that this individual, that there'll be interventions to ensure that this individual does not repeat a cycle of violence. That's exactly what today's announcement is about.
Today's announcement is about being hopeful. Okay, so I'm going to bring you hope, everyone. Wait a second. What's the definition of hope? I think it means I don't believe it actually really happened. It's like, I hope I go to the casino and win $1 million. You don't have faith you're going to go to the casino and win $1 million. But I do have faith that I'm going to pass the exam that I have next Friday night because I've been studying for it. But I don't hope that I'm going to pass the exam. I hope only when I don't know the work that I've done over the past 3 weeks is going to enable me to pass the test. Oh my God, that was some word salad for you, but it made sense, a lot more sense than what this guy talks about.
This BC Conservative public safety critic says the beds at Surrey Pretrial will not address the larger opioid crisis or help families trying to find mental health care for their loved ones.
That was such a scripted walk.
This expansion is for people who are in custody because of an entanglement with the criminal justice system. But the vast majority of people who are suffering and who need our help here in BC are not entangled with the criminal justice system.
Eby says the province will open more beds this spring for individuals who have not been arrested. Dr. Daniel Vigo, tapped by the Premier to be the province's chief scientific advisor for psychiatry, toxic drugs, and concurrent disorders, says those in custody will also receive treatment and services in the community after they've been released.
So someone is like totally schizoid, messed up as a result of taking many different types of medication, not eating, not feeding their brain, not getting any fatty substance. They go into a prison state system and they get given processed food that's not really alive. Actively, it's dead. It's processed food. It's not good. They're putting it in their body. Then they're acting out even differently, but less than, because they're in a stabilized environment. And then they're given drugs. And then they're given drugs, and then they talk to the doctors, and the doctors ask them questions related to how they're feeling and what they're thinking. And then they write these things down, and then they take notes, and then they basically give them more drugs, and they try to figure out which drug's going to work for which person in a different way. Problem is, there's many different people with many different problems, and this is what's happening. The doctors think they're going to fix the problem on the streets. I think I just answered everything that's been going on in the last couple of months.
Our patients will now receive the level of psychiatric care they need the moment they need it.
I will give you the medication, what you need and when you need it. And if you don't like it, I will hold you down. I will restrain you. I'll put you in the rubber room, and then that will be that.
More mental health beds will also be available next month at the Alouette Correctional Center in Maple Ridge.
Isn't it just fantastic? We're going to put those men in the women's correctional facility because, help me understand. Yes, could we just, if we wanted to, if we didn't like the people that were in our neighborhood doing the things that weren't like us, we could shun them. We could just vacate them from our community. We could push them out of our communities. I don't think it's legal, but they're doing it on Haida Gwaii. I think I'm going to move to Haida Gwaii. I'm going to open up a treatment center on Haida Gwaii. I'm going to help everyone there. I'm going to stay there because that seems like a safe place.
A case back in 2020, Frank Young, who's actually the father of the person who was accused in this targeted hit and run, pled guilty to possession for the purpose of trafficking cocaine. And at that point, there was a community impact statement that was given by one of the Skidegate band councillors that really talked about the impact of drug dealing on the community. And, Frank Young's actions specifically, where she talked about the fear people were feeling, the troubles that elders were having, the anxiety, the impact on youth. And, she said that at that time they had not considered banishment, but it was one of the tools in their kit, so to speak, that they might, use in the future if the system would not help them deal with this. And at that point, they were hoping that he might have some jail time. He ultimately got a year in prison and 2 years probation. But it really gives an idea of the background and sort of what's led up to this extraordinary movement, where you have these people banished from this community and people along their route not wanting them to come there either.
Yeah, I was up in a mental health and addictions conference two summers ago up in Haida Gwaii. Hadn't been one there for many, many years, and quite interestingly enough, I learned that there's a lot of problems on Haida Gwaii as it relates to addiction and mental health. More addiction than mental health, because they do take care of their own up there. It's predominantly Haida people, and they do support one another. But unfortunately, there are some really bad seeds up there, as there is in every community.
And to be clear, Frank Young has served his time. What concerns are there about what's happening now?
See, the problem is people serve their time, but they go back to the same old, same old. And this guy did what he did. He came back. They worry about he's doing the same old, so they just kick him off the community. Kicked him right off the island.
Well, I mean, this really comes into this question of kind of the thin line between righteous indignation, let's say, and vigilantism on the other hand. We have now, the Skidegate Band Council in Haida Gwaii saying, get off social media, calm down, and you have RCMP saying, this borders on harassing people for, what somebody else is alleged to have done.
Yeah, so they're pushing the whole family off the island. Anyways, I don't have an opinion either nor there. If someone was living in my house and they were doing shit that affected my kids, yeah, they would know they're not welcome. 100%. God bless. God bless Haida Nation. Boom. So last on the agenda is this uplifting the downtown Eastside. So the city, David Eby and his cronies at the city hall, Sean Orr and Ken Sim, they're basically changing the rules down in the downtown Eastside, mainly the Oppenheimer district, which is just a little east of Main and Hastings. And, there's an area there where they're going to re-gentrify it. They're going to shut down the SROs, and they're going to allow builders to come in and build these 70-story towers. And people that are now in a building where there's 60% greater that have SROs, people that have mental health or addictions that are living there, and they're secure and they're safe and they're vibrant and they're living their life. I met a lot of them last night at a meeting. They're going to get all kicked out. Anyways, for years, the downtown Eastside community fought to fiercely protect the neighborhood from gentrification. They won, and they actually had some things rezoned so people couldn't come in and push them out. But now the city staff are proposing changes that could dismantle these protections. So they want to slash the nonprofit requirement from 60% to 20% per building. So basically what that means is there's a building downtown, it's a nonprofit, the government's paying these nonprofits money to house these people at 60% or greater. Now what they're doing is they're going to change it to 20% or less. So you can only have 20% of the people living in 100% of the building, which won't work, because if you're going to have 20%, it's going to be like, I wouldn't move into one of those buildings where 20% of the units were filled with like mental health and addiction. Thank you, but no. So they're going to permit 100% privately owned buildings. You only need 10% of the units that are under under $1,000 a month rent, which is basically the Ministry for Poverty Reduction. And they're going to allow these towers to be 32 stories high. And they're all over. Anyways, we're just going to segue right over to where I was last night. So here we go. There was probably about 150 people that lived in the downtown Eastside there last night. They were all talking about how to basically support one another to fight the city, because Ken Sim, he wants to build these huge towers, massive towers. So right now, 60% of the towers are filled up with, mental health people that need help, people that are in poverty, people that don't make a lot of money, and they're stuck there. They can't move from their city. But now they're building these 32 high stories, like 32-story buildings, and only 10% of them can be filled with here. Anyways, let's just listen to this, and then we're going to bounce for the day.
In some block area around Oppenheimer Park, instead of having to have 60% social housing, you only have to have 20% social housing.
So this is what they're doing. So they're just basically going to dummy everything down, and they're going to push everyone out. They've been doing this. I mean, 2 months ago, they brought in all the police. Now the police are harassing the people on the street, and it's just going to be push. And Ken Sim, God bless Ken Sim, and God bless his little cohort of people in that little meeting. I can't wait to get in there and ask some really deep questions with these people, not to create any negativity or anything, but they're doing it, and our policies, our system is just broken. It's broken, and it as much as people think that you need to break the ankle of the deer before it gets better, because you can't walk around with a limp. You can't walk around with a limp ankle, because it's just going to get broken and broken and broken. You got to just break it. Anyways, that's not the answer, but we got to figure something out. Anyways, please like this if you liked it. Please comment if you can. This is Drew Coover, and I'm out of here for the day.